Well, the Toronto Blue Jays get it done again at Coors Field, putting up double digits for the second day in a row. This team needs to get the 3 wins. I won't say the word, but they need it so bad.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Over the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDON MLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. As always, I'm Brayden Wasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden5 Wasco. Carter First too as well on our main Twitter account at Locked On Jays. And if you haven't already, go over to the Instagram and the TikTok, and you guys can follow us on there at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you're new here to YouTube or you're listening to our stuff or you just found us, hit the subscribe button. It's free. You might as well do it. You get your shorts, your live streams, your podcasts, your videos, the whole ordeal. And it helps us out. Why not? It's free. It's easy. Doesn't take that much time out of your day. Hit that subscribe button for us. Lots to get into. We're going to talk just the Blue Jays in general, how they competed in this ball game, getting the much needed victory here. We said you don't want to have to drop one to the Colorado Rockies, and they didn't so far. We got to talk about Daulton Varsho, even though we talked about him a lot yesterday, but the guy is showing out and proving everybody that's been telling him that he should be a defensive replacement or whatever, wrong. So good on Daulton Varsho. We'll talk about him a ton as well. We're also going to tee up game 3 and sort of just talk a little bit more about the schedule and sort of what's coming up. In an upcoming episode here, we are going to talk about the lineup with some guys returning from injury, so keep your eyes out for that in the next coming days. Probably it'll be the Friday, but we'll have to wait and see because there are a lot of moves that are going to have to be made. So stay up to date with us, stay on the podcast throughout the rest of the week, and we'll make sure we get you guys up to date on everything that's going on. Carter, just a huge win. I think it was a little bit of a rough start for Jose Berrios. Didn't seem like he had his best stuff. They talked about it a little bit in the post-game show. Was it Coors Field that some of the pitches were hanging a little bit more and he wasn't getting the break on it that he necessarily wanted? That's what they seem to say. I don't push much validity into that. I don't care what they say. You know that you're pitching at Coors Field. You know you got to start your pitches a little bit lower. You know they're not going to break as much. And instead of making those adjustments prior to the game, Jose Berrios doesn't and makes it about 3 innings in. And then he starts to find his groove. But it was a 3 innings of not making an adjustment, and he got a little bit burned on that. Even though I think overall his stuff, he pitched an okay game. I think he got in his head after giving up a couple runs, and then, he started to panic on the mound. You could see that when that ground ball was hit, sort of, I can't remember what inning it was, but he picks it up and runs it himself to first base. You could see the panic and the struggle in him a little bit, that he wanted to do something and wanted to make sure he got that out. So in totality, not the best game from Jose Berrios, but you battle through against a bad team and you get the job done. So hat tips to him.
Yeah, he ate some innings. It's not the start that you want, but it's Coors Field. Yeah, there is a little bit of an asterisk there. It just didn't really look comfortable on the mound today. It is a little bit different, obviously, like you said, especially with the off-speed pitches, just with how thin the air is. The air has less resistance on the ball, so it's not going to move necessarily as much as he wants it to. But just the command kind of all over the place. Seemed like he was missing a lot on the arm side today. And just Alejandro could be set up somewhere and he would miss on the complete opposite side of the plate. So not exactly ideal. Just threw the sinker a whole lot today. Sinker, 4-seam, and changeup. Didn't really throw the slurve as much. I think, again, was trying to go away from that a little bit just because of the fact that they were at Coors Field. But luckily for Jose Berrios, the Jays offense kind of helped him out. It was the game of the home run ball, and that's what you kind of expect when you come to Coors Field. The Toronto Blue Jays hitting 5 home runs in that baseball game. Daulton Varsho accounting for 2 of them and hitting the longest home run of the season, one of them being 467 feet. And that's your defensive replacement right there. That guy's hitting 67-foot bombs. Why are you throwing Daulton Varsho changeups? I don't really understand it. When you throw Daulton Varsho a changeup that catches a lot of the plate, especially when it's on the lower part of the plate, he is going to send it into oblivion. Hit so many changeups hard today, multiple home runs off the changeup, and then obviously had the double as well. 10 total bases, 6 RBIs for Daulton Varsho. He's showing off the upside right now, and Daulton Varsho's played like 30 games. I think I'll go and get the exact amount of games played, but he has 11 home runs this year. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has 17 home runs. Barger has 17 home runs, and Barger's been very good. Like, you're looking at a lot of these guys on this baseball team, like Dalton Varsho is sneaking up in his home run numbers. So I never understood it then before we had this little, power surge from Varsho. But I just never understood the takes where like this guy is just that defensive replacement, because especially this season, every single time he's been in that lineup, he has shown you the potential for that power.
Yeah, absolutely has. We saw it in spring training, Carter. Like everything that this guy was, even back when they made the trade, they knew the profile of Dalton Varsho. You knew that if he was a guy that could put it all together, he has all the attributes to not only be a defensive weapon, but an absolute stud at the plate. And this season, right from spring training, you saw Dalton Varsho being able to put it all together. And look what happens. Through 28 games, he has 11 home runs. I looked it up.
Not even that 30 games yet. It's insane what he's doing right now. I don't care if it's a launch pad at Coors Field and he maybe got an extra, 15 feet. Like, that ball was sent in the night. That's what happened. It was sent to outer space. It's with the spaceships up there, circulating Earth. There's absolutely insane stuff from Dalton Varsho. And always, again, one of my favorite home runs to watch when he gets the barrel behind that baseball and gets that, short swing, especially on the inside pitches. Just so fun to watch. It's a pleasure to have this guy back on your team. And we don't even talk about the defensive plays that he makes every single night. So crazy stuff from Dalton Varsho. Hopefully he can continue this hot streak on and be that middle of the order left-handed power bat along with Addison Barger that this team could definitely rely on. Because how cool is that, too? Just jumping into the next one. You have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. launching a ball in the night, and then Addison Barger back-to-back. Addison Barger seems like if somebody's in front of him hits a home run, I swear there's like a 75% chance that he's going to hit a home run right after that as well. You get, just catches a little bit of that momentum and just monkey see, monkey do, maybe in a little bit of sense. I see ball, I hit ball. And that's all you need from Addison Barger.
That's exactly what it is. And you know what? I got to start it here. And I'll talk about Addison Barger right away. But another guy, Nathan Lucas, should have had 2 home runs in this ballgame. The first at-bat of the ballgame, he sends a deep ball to center field and it gets robbed. Great catch. And I say robbed, it was right on the edge. It might have hit the top of the wall and stayed in, but it was that close that it probably debatably could have been a home run. So Nathan Lucas has really been playing outstanding as well and finding a little bit of that home run stroke. So when you're getting guys that you don't necessarily see hit home runs all the time, like Nathan Lucas, I mean, Vladdy, Varsho, and Barger all have characteristics of home run hitters. So, it's a little bit easier to say, wow, look at these guys swing. But it's even more special when you see a guy like Nathan Lucas be able to do that and other guys in this lineup that have been able to over the past bunch of games. So this lineup is an absolute powerhouse right now. And this is something we talked about is, how did this team need another bat at the trade deadline? And they're sort of proving that not really, because you have George Springer returning. You now have Dalton Varsho heating up. Santander may return. I'm still iffy on it, but he may return. And you already have Barger, Varsho, Vladdy, Bo, Nathan Lucas, Ernie Clement playing unbelievable. Miles Straw hitting really well too. Like, you can go down this line. I could have named everybody on this roster. That's how good this offense is. So, maybe the addition of Ty France here was just sort of like, there it is. And we don't need any bats because this team proves that everybody in from 1 to 9 can do the job in big moments, in smaller moments. And I think the really good part of it, Carter, for me, that I'm seeing from Vladdy lately is something that I had a huge problem with all season long, was in those clutch big moments, Vlad doesn't show up, right? If it's an 8th, 9th inning and you need a hit and you think, wow, Vlad's the guy, you want him in those positions, and he just doesn't come through. Lately, it's sort of been the opposite. I'm not eating my words because that's exactly what it was. But he's starting to turn the narrative that he can show up in these bigger moments. Again, we'll have to wait and see down the stretch, because that's the biggest question that's going to be on my mind is how clutch can Vladimir Guerrero Jr. be heading into the playoffs? If it's at the 8th inning of a playoff game, Vladdy up to bat with a runner on second, in a 1-run ball game, what Vlad shows up? The one that's going to hit a double to the gap and score a run to tie the ball game? Or the guy that's going to roll over to second base and that's going to be that's going to be it. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see how this sort of saga of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this season continues.
It's been a little bit of a light switch flip since the All-Star break. It seems like Vladdy has found that timing a little bit. We haven't really seen like a backside home run from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in a very long time. I guess Coors Field makes the ball's going to carry a little bit, but he's still hitting these balls very hard. And just looking at the stats since the All-Star break, this guy has a 360 average, a 448 on base, 640 slugging. That's a 1,088 OPS. Like, you are taking that every single day of the week, and especially on a Tuesday night at Coors Field. Like, 100%, this guy is going to go on a run. We were waiting for it for a very long time. I think too long almost. Like, I don't love that you're waiting until 100 games into the season. But like I said, if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. can catch fire for the last 50 games of the season, arguably the most important 50 games of the year, and then to carry that momentum in the playoffs, nobody's going to care what he did pre-All-Star break, especially because you had that whole team contributing mentality. You had everyone kind of putting their fair share in and just producing at every single level, to Miles Straw, to Jonathan Glossy when he was here, to Davis Schneider, to Will Wagner when all those guys were here as well, all the way up to the middle guys like Alejandro, Kirk, Addison Barger, George Springer, working your way all the way up to those guys as well. So you're getting production from everybody, and Vladdy can be that guy to turn it on in the second half, and maybe you see some other performances falter. You guys, you didn't necessarily expect to have these overachieving performances up to this point. That's going to be a really good spot for your baseball team. Like you kind of said, the middle of this order, when you get everybody back, it looks really good. You have a lot of potential to hit home runs and to drive runners in big scenarios. So that's like the goal that the Toronto Blue Jays are obviously working towards. You want to win your regular season games. You want to be able to keep your guys healthy and, know which scenarios you want to put your guys in to allow them to be the most successful. But the bigger picture is, what is this team going to be able to do in October? Because I'm not going to say it's a shoe-in to make the playoffs. Things would have to go insanely bad these last 45, 50 games or so for this team to not end up in the postseason.
Oh, exactly. And I think moving forward, we're going to start not so much thinking about this specific game or this specific game. It's now, how do these outings relate into a playoff situation? And that's the mindset as fans we have to be into, because if one thing happens poorly and then me and you come on here and are talking about, hey, why did this happen poorly? Can this be fixed? Is this a one-off? We're not thinking about it because, it's this random game against the Rockies here or there. We're thinking about, will this happen in a playoff scenario? Or when a great thing happens, can this carry over into a playoff situation? Because at the end of the day, yes, you got to get to the dance, but when you're at the dance, you got to make a move on the pretty girl, right? That's what it is. So, Carter, as we continue here, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. I do want to get into some of the numbers of this game because just some of the outings that these guys have had really were outstanding, and I want to highlight some of those things, and then some other things that I just saw throughout the ball game, going into the bullpen, talking about that a little bit as well. And a question I was actually asked, I went on Sportsnet yesterday, and they asked me a couple questions in regards to this bullpen that now I want to throw to you, because to see if you have a similar answer as I do. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Today's episode brought to you by Game Day Hue. I'm a huge fan of Game Day Hue. They are my golf glove brand of choice. I wear their hats on the golf course all the time because they just fit so nicely. It's clean, it's sleek. You can pick your colors. Everything's fantastic. And, I wear the hat you guys have seen on the podcast consistently. Game Day Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. I'm a big blue and white guy. I just rock blue and white. My bag's blue and white. My grips are blue and white. My shoes are blue and white. And I needed a hat and a glove to match. Game Day Hue comes in clutch. And they do these bundles where you can get like the same color hats, gloves, whatever, all the same sort of color, and it all matches, and it's fantastic. So if you guys are big golfers, or honestly just want a nice clean hat to wear out that maybe doesn't have a big logo on it or whatever else, I think this is the perfect brand for that. Right now you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on those bundle deals that I was talking about before, where you can bundle everything together. It even works on that, so even better. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com. Code MLB15. So, Carter, just continuing on here, I want to go over some of the numbers, and then I'm going to ask you the question that I was asked specifically about this bullpen and sort of its usage moving forward. And thanks to the Sportsnet guys for having me out. It was fantastic. It was a ton of fun. Really great show, Sportsnet today. You guys, I don't know if they have like an audio vault or something. You guys can go back and listen if you want. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's it. Nathan Lucas, 2 for 4, 1 RBI, the home run, outstanding. Bo Bichette, 2 for 5. He scores a run. Vladdy goes 3 for 5, 2 RBIs, the home run as well. Barger, 1 for 5 with the home run. And that to me is a classic. And I'll get into this. I'll go run down the rest of the numbers, but then I want your thoughts on is this the type of game that we can consistently see from Addison Barger, or more often than not in regard to home run power more than an average guy. But Alejandro Kirk, 2 for 4. Varsho, 3 for 5, 2 home runs. Ernie Clement actually 0 for 5 this game, but it is what it is.
Well, you get 5 hits the game before, so I mean, yeah,
that's right.
Out. It's not pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, you got to pick and choose, right? Ty France 0 for 4 as well. But just going back to the Addison Barger of it all, Carter, is this the type of game with Addison Barger that you believe is sort of his prototype almost, where it's not as much about the average, it's about the power, and it's about being able to drive in runs, whether that's with a home run or with an extra base hit? That's sort of more so the Addison Barger profile that I expected throughout this year.
Well, yeah, you don't care if Addison Barger hits 300. I mean, that'd be cool, I guess. But if he's in 300 with the power that he's possessing, that's possibly an MVP season that we're looking at with Barger. This guy's in the lineup to hit extra base hits. That is why he's there. This guy has a violent swing. He's an absolute free swinger. But when you have that much power and you possess the ability to hit the exit velocities that Addison Barger possesses, you want that guy to be swinging as hard as he possibly can and doing damage in your lineup. So 1 for 5 with the bomb, yeah, sign me up for that every single day of the week, especially if there's going to be runners on. Addison Barger with this lineup, now get this lineup in, he's going to be coming up with runners on a fair amount of the time. So if you can get those doubles, those triples, those home runs, that's the issue with a lot of it with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. before this All-Star break, is that, yeah, he's getting on base. He's the walking man. He's getting on base at an unbelievable clip. He's hitting hard singles, but he's not hitting those extra base hits. So that's exactly what you want from Addison Barger, and you're definitely not going to discourage that. That's the type of guy, if he hits 240 and has that like 800 OPS, you're going to be pretty happy with the season that Addison Barger is giving you. But there's a couple more things I quickly want to just jump into. Sure. I noticed from this game, you kind of brought about Nathan Lucas, and in that first inning, obviously the home run that could have been, and then the home run that he gets his get back on. Also, just a very good play on Brenton Doyle on a play where I'm not really sure why he is running, and he's rounding first base. But Nathan Lucas cuts the ball off in the corner, ranging to the foul line, and kind of does like the Jeter jump throw in a sense. Does set his feet a little bit more, but it's just a perfect throw right on the money. Brenton Doyle rounding first, trying to stretch that into a double. When you're down 3 runs in a game and you have a leadoff single, I get like you want to get into scoring position. You don't want to have that possibility of a double play ball. There are some benefits to getting to second base, but you need base runners, especially at the bottom of your order. It didn't really make any sense to me why you're stretching that into a double, but Nathan Lucas taking advantage of that. And getting a huge out that could have snowballed into a bigger thing, especially when it was a 7-4 baseball game. The Colorado Rockies, it's just being a little bit tough today. I guess because late night baseball games are getting to me, but the Colorado Rockies are, getting some life. They're looking like they can creep back into the baseball game, and that was one of those plays that really shut them down. Another one was Jose Berrios, the very good pickoff move at second base, getting it out there. It's those little mental mistakes that you notice the Colorado Rockies making relatively regularly from a team that has, 30 wins compared to the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that normally is pretty good at taking care of the baseball, pretty smart on the base paths. We have seen recently the defense kind of floundering a little bit, and that's something else I wanted to go into. But overall, you can definitely tell that like the Colorado Rockies are at the bottom of the league and the Toronto Blue Jays are at the top of the league for a reason.
Yeah, Carter, it's about doing the little things right. And when I talk about ball players and winning, teams that have success and teams that don't, it all comes down to and I hate to say this because I sound like a coach of a little league team right now, but it's all about the fundamentals, right? If you can do the small things right and not make mental mistakes, that's going to take your team, you might still not be the best baseball team on the planet, but you're going to have more success because you're not giving away free outs. Runs aren't the most important thing in baseball. Outs are the most important thing in baseball. You have a finite number of outs per baseball game. You can score as many runs as you can, but there's only so many outs. So if you can make the plays and avoid running into outs, that's massive. That's the difference maker in good baseball teams versus bad baseball teams. So yeah, 100%. I agree. And I think that in certain situations, taking advantage of another team's error, which the Toronto Blue Jays did a great job against the Yankees with too, taking advantage of teams making mental mistakes. And I hate to bring up the Yankees again, but why not? Whether it's the Rockies, whether it's the Yankees, whether it's the Astros or the Dodgers, when a team makes a mistake, it's your job to jump onto it as a team and make them make more or put the pressure on them. And this baseball team has been unbelievable at doing that this season. And that's really, I think, the driving force, what made this team successful this season. Obviously, it is, the offensive explosion that has happened. But the other point of it, it's everybody doing everything right. Addison Barger, right? Before the season, you'd say not a great defender. This season, you're seeing him use his talents and use what he's good at with his arm.
That was actually what I was going to bring up. Is recently we've seen Addison Barger start to falter a little bit on the defensive side. Like he had that one today where there's a ball he tracks it back as well, gives himself a pretty good hop, and still just kind of whiffs on it. And I think there was another one in the first game of the series as well. I remember one the week prior. Like they're starting to stack up a little bit for Addison Barger here. This guy isn't necessarily known as a good defender. And if he's going to do what he's doing offensively, I'm not going to be mad whatsoever. But I think we're starting to see a little bit of holes, at least in his game defensively. And just overall with the Toronto Blue Jays. Like Ernie Clement was throwing the ball around a little bit, which you don't normally see from him. But Bichette, who's been very good on the first play in the Bassitt start, he just completely whiffs on a double play ball. The next pitch, they get a double play anyway. But it's just those little plays that, again, they've been so good at this season that we're starting to see falter a little bit. I mean, Dalton Varsho in this game bobbles a ball, and when he's trying to throw the ball to third base, allows runners to go from first to second to third and second. So runners in scoring position, having one compared to two, that can matter, especially if you're you're not playing the Colorado Rockies, you're playing the Detroit Tigers, you're playing the Dodgers, you're playing the Rangers, those type of teams that are coming up. So those little things obviously do matter, especially when you are playing good baseball teams. So I don't want to discount what the players are doing against Colorado Rockies, but again, it is the Colorado Rockies. It is the worst team in baseball for a reason, but you got to be up on the bad teams, and that's what the Toronto Blue Jays ball club is doing.
Yeah, and that's what we brought up earlier in this episode, right? Is that we have to take the things that they're doing against the Rockies and not necessarily looking at it as this game, but looking at it how it would perform in a playoff situation, because that's what you have to do. We can sit here and talk about this game, but is game 90 or 100 and whatever going to matter when it's game one of the playoffs? Not so much. So no, I get what you're saying. I just think it's the and I guess going back to what I was saying was that it's the little things, right? And the defensive, I would say for the majority of this season, everybody's been at the top of their game defensively. This entire roster has been. But yeah, you are seeing it falter a little bit. And this is the Addison Barger that I think we more so expect to be out there. And him not making the diving play at third base, but, a bobble here, a bobble there. That is the Addison Barger I always had in my head defensively. So if he can just be a little bit better than that, you're already getting more offensively than you would have. And, maybe now you're just getting okay defense, which is all right with what he's doing. But you are going to get Andres Gimenez back eventually, so he will slot in at that two bag. That should help the defensive. Again, this is not, Daulton Varsho hasn't been back very long, so you got to give him a little bit of grace period as well to get back to it, because he is one of, if not the best defensive player in baseball. So you got to have a little bit of leeway in game two of him being back.
Well, and when we're looking at Addison Barger, we got to remember that this dude is 25 years old. This guy's played 160 baseball games. He hasn't even played a full season at the major leagues. So he hasn't had those years of compounding those drills, doing the ground balls every single day for, multiple years in a row. Obviously, he does have a lot of baseball experience, but just getting the work in and day out and just getting that more experience, getting more comfortable, doing just the regular routines of Major Leaguer. You always see players' defense getting better and better as they are in the league. It's because they're just around baseball more often. They're learning from, the best coaches available. So you give Addison Barger a little bit more time. I'm sure the defense is probably going to pick up a little bit as well. Something else happened in this game. Joey Loperfido gets hit in the side of the knee. That does not look very good. I'm not sure if they probably came out with something. I think it would be a right knee contusion. I was unable to see it, but Joey Loperfido looked like he was in some immense pain. Was obviously laboring when he was walking off of the field. Was able to put a little bit of weight on it, but hopefully that is nothing serious for Joey Loperfido. But that's not necessarily what I want to talk about. It's the next half of the inning. Jordan Beck is hit by a fastball, And I don't know what he thought was going on. He almost thought that Jose Berrios was hitting him intentionally, which just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. To start off, it's a 7-4 baseball game. And again, the Rockies are starting to show you a little bit of a pulse. They're looking like they could come back in this game. Why would you give the Rockies a free base runner? And also, Ezekiel Tovar just hit it before. Hunter Goodman just hit it before. Especially the way Hunter Goodman's been playing. He launched the ball again into the sunset off Jose Berrios. By the way, called that one. Said Hunter Goodman was going to do that against Berrios. Unfortunately, I was right. But, and then like he was got walked. He had, at that point, had not gotten out at all. So if you're going to hit anyone, if for some reason you're going to have that same thing where you want to get your get back like they did against the Guardians, you probably would have did it against Ezekiel Tovar. You probably would have did it against Hunter Goodman. You wouldn't have waited for Jordan Beck. I mean, no disrespect, but you wouldn't have waited for Jordan Beck to do it in that scenario. So, yeah, it just didn't really make a lot of sense to me whatsoever why he was so mad. John Schneider ends up running out there and pretty much just like, hey, buddy, like, what are you doing? But I think that's just a young player that's kind of hot in the moment, maybe a little bit frustrated about how the baseball game's going, how the series is going. So I won't chalk it up to anything too crazy. I just thought, I was a little wild to just assume that what was going on in that specific scenario.
Yeah, and just on the Joey Loperfido situation, X-rays did come back. This is right from John Schneider. It's negative on the fracture, so you're right, just a contusion there. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how long if he does miss, probably a couple games, but then he'll be back. So that's the Joey Loperfido situation. Yeah, a lot going on here. That was very interesting. And just seeing John Schneider pop out of the dugout like that was just hilarious too. So yeah, no, overall, I mean, great baseball game. A lot to take away from it. I think that, again, not specifically game scenario, but how this is going to all happen moving forward. I think the resurgence of Daulton Varsho from injury. I think watching him continue to do exactly what he did when he was playing before the injury, that's fantastic. The Addison Barger continuing. Vladdy started getting on a streak. All of these things coming together, it's what you wanted. But Carter, I did want to throw this in here because I will talk about the question that I was asked on Sportsnet right after the break, but I did also want to share my bet of the day that did hit, and I'll start doing this. If my bet does hit, I'll let you guys know what it was. If it loses, I did not make a bet. You guys would never know about it. Bichette, I had 2+ bases. He bails me out for the last thing in the 9th inning. So I was over the moon because I was like, you know what? I'm letting it ride. Bichette has one more at bat. He'll figure out something for me. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 1+ total base. He got 5. That was good. Moneyline Blue Jays, Jose Berrios, 5+ strikeouts. He got 5. Money. And Jose Berrios to record the first strikeout. I didn't know that was a thing that you could bet on. It is. So that was awesome. That was cool. And it went in my favor. Love it. Carter, I do want to talk about, obviously, the bullpen situation as a whole. And it's just one question, but I thought it was interesting. And then we'll move on and talk Game 3 and the need for this Toronto Blue Jays team, I think, to cap off this series correctly. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Today's episode is sponsored by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you into the driver's seat. It's like you're having your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you can also start building wealth. One thing I noticed when I moved to the city is that I was spending a whole lot of money on fast food and just like energy drinks at convenience stores, just a little like stupid purchases that I should not have been making. I should have just done most of my shopping at the grocery stores, especially when I wanted that snack late at night instead of going to that convenience store. It would have been nice if I just, went to Dollarama or went to a dollar store, stocked up there. I was making a more mindful purchases after I realized with Monarch Money that, hey, I was spending a little bit too much and was getting just a little bit out of control for my budget. So you can take control of your finances today with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
So, Carter, just continuing on, just quick before we get into everything, I did want to let people know sort of what the standings are looking like, how the Blue Jays are standing up. We'll talk about more sort of the overall picture, how many wins the Blue Jays can get. Sort of, I think on Friday we'll talk about that when we do talk about the lineup changes that might and should be coming. So as of right now, the Toronto Blue Jays 67-48, followed up by the Red Sox 64-51, then the Yankees at 60-54. and Tampa at 55-59, with the Orioles capping off the AL East at 51-63. So the Red Sox, a solid 3 games now back of the Toronto Blue Jays. And in the wild card, the Blue Jays are 1 game up, right? Or, yeah, I guess it would be 1 game up on the Tigers and 3 on the Houston Astros for the American League. Wild card right now is the Red Sox, the Mariners, and the Yankees sneaking in that 3 spot. But technically, they are a half game up on the Texas Rangers, who will have 55 losses. The Yankees only at 54, like I did say. So just thought, give the people a quick rundown and to let everybody know sort of how the Blue Jays are still doing. These wins are all important.
Well, 100% they are. And like the Yankees are playing the Rangers right now, and you said the Rangers are half a game behind them. So those games are definitely important. And we're looking a little bit farther on with the Toronto Blue Jays schedule. The Rangers are right there down the line. So you want to be prepared again for the worst. You don't want it to happen, obviously, but there is a scenario where this Toronto Blue Jays team does not win the AL East, and that means they will be battling in the wild card. So you still want to be, aware of what these other teams are doing. You still want to be aware of the scoreboards and which teams you want to win, which teams help out if you lose. And the Rangers are definitely one of them. The Yankees would be one of them. All the AL East teams, it means a little bit more, obviously, if they're losing baseball games. But it's a little bit of an interesting dynamic going on. The Toronto Blue Jays just kind of staying afloat. Did work through a little bit of a tough patch. The Yankees have been through like a month and a half tough patch. Aaron Judge came back. Did not look good his first game back. But again, Eovaldi just absolutely dominated that entire lineup. I think he went 8 innings, shutout ball. Absolutely love to see it over there. And then the Red Sox just can't be stopped. So that's a team that you maybe have to give a little bit more credit. I was talking at work to a couple of guys today. I asked one of my Red Sox buddies. He asked me if I thought the Red Sox were better than the Yankees, and I said no. I thought the Yankees were still better, and he was not a fan of that, to say the least. So I'm curious what you guys think in the comments. Like, do you guys have the Toronto Blue Jays kind of leading the AL East? Do you think it's going to be the Yankees? Do you think it's the Red Sox? Who do you think is better out of the Red Sox and the Yankees? Because that definitely inspired an argument at work today. So that was an interesting conversation that I had. But that will take us into the series preview. I got one more thing, actually. Jake Bird got optioned to AAA, New York Yankees. That was one of their bigger trade acquisitions, one of the big 3 that they got at the deadline. I thought that was pretty funny. Not a great start for Jake Bird in the pinstripes, unfortunately for him. But Brayden, I'll throw it over to you for the 3rd game of the series.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I got one more thing too, because I said I was going to get into it, so I will.
Right.
This is just a quick question that I was asked today from the guys on Sportsnet, and I want to get your thoughts because I had my lineup, and this is just quick. I just want 3 guys. You're in a playoff scenario, 1 gamer. Who you taking? 7, 8, 9 in this bullpen. Who's pitching those innings, even with the new acquisitions?
Okay, I'm still giving Jeff Hoffman the 9th. For me, there's a bigger conversation I want to go into. Absolutely. Jeff Hoffman. I think people are discounting him a lot here. So, and for the 8th and the 7th, for that, it's really matchup dependent for me.
Yeah,
I'm just if you're having a bunch of lefties, I think I'm going Brandon Little. Obviously, if you got some righties, I think at this point it's Sir Anthony Dominguez. I don't love that in the 8th inning because again, we've seen the volatility, but. If you don't pitch him on back-to-back days, I'm throwing Sir Anthony Dominguez. And for your 7th inning, I think it's Yariel Rodriguez, Louis Varland. I think right now I'm leaning towards Yariel Rodriguez, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see Louis Varland a little bit more if I do have him going in the 7th inning for his ball club. But then that's assuming that Jimmy Garcia comes back and maybe he's not fully up to par. So there's so many things that can go into the scenario. But with the team right now, I think that's what I'd be rolling out.
Yeah, and that was fair. I went Brandon Little, Yariel Rodriguez, and then Jeff Hoffman. That was my 3 in a general sense, because obviously you're not doing it matchup based, but that's definitely going to depend. So I just wanted to hear your sort of thoughts because there are a lot of options in this bullpen right now, which is a great thing to have. And you're right, Sir Anthony Dominguez, 80% of the time is going to be awesome. It's the 20% that might hurt a little bit. So I think we had that conversation the other day. But Carter, let's talk about it. 3rd game of the series. The Toronto Blue Jays need to win this game. It'd be massive. This is just, I think, the momentum shift, the momentum you can get from a series. I'm not going to say the word because I'm a little superstitious for some reason for the first time ever. Will be Kevin Gausman versus Freeland. Freeland right now 2-11 on the season with a 5.26 ERA. Even though no pitcher on this Colorado Rockies staff is ever going to have a good record because this team stinks. But in saying that, I think it's very important for Kevin Gausman to go out there and have a good day just for him.
Yeah, you want it to keep the momentum going. You want it just for Kevin Gausman. You get kind of beat up by the Colorado Rockies. That's not going to be good for the mental. And just to just kind of give the Rockies pitchers just a little bit of credit. That it is the hardest ballpark to pitch in. Again, maybe aren't the most skilled pitchers that you want, But the ballpark's not doing them any favors, at least, especially with how big that outfield is, the way the ball carries. Some of the Rockies outfielders making some interesting decisions at times, just how good they are defensively, not helping out a ton either. So there's a lot that pitching staff does have to deal with. But Kyle Freeland is one of their better guys. I think he has like a 5 ERA. So that kind of explains what might happen again in this baseball game. You want to see the vintage stuff from Kevin Gausman. There's going to be a discussion down the stretch here of how the starters are going to be rolled out in a playoff scenario. Right now, Eric Lauer making a pretty good argument on why he might be a starter in one of those playoff scenarios. Max Scherzer, the way he's been pitching, been very good. Shane Bieber, when he comes back, he'll be thrown into that discussion. So Kevin Gausman right now, I think would still be a lot of people's favorites to start game one of a playoff scenario. But who knows what's going to happen down the stretch, especially with what could happen with some of these other pitchers. So if Kevin Gausman wants to be a surefire game one starter, I think it kind of all can start right here against the Colorado Rockies. Start just building those starts time and time again, build that momentum, and hopefully we get the 2023, 2022 Kevin Gausman back, and this guy can actually absolutely shove for us down the stretch, and then hopefully multiple games in the playoffs.
Yeah, we got to hope so. As always, guys, this has been, we go along on these episodes all the time, and it's great. It's fun talking Blue Jays when they're winning, and this season's been a lot of winning. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Me and Carter are going to be out of here. We got 2 big episodes coming tomorrow or the next 2 days because they, off day in there, weekend series against the Dodgers. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll have this, we'll break down game 3 for you guys as well. But we are going to talk about lineups, changes that are going to come with some guys coming off, from being injured back into the lineup and some other bullpen spots being moved and what will happen down the line. So a whole big discussion that's going to come later this week. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a comment of how you, are feeling about everything we talked about today, because there was a lot. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.